Control phase overview. It's not improvement if it doesn't last. Why does the control phase matter? This slide uses a relatable analogy to drive home the importance of the control phase in Six Sigma projects. Let me walk you through it. Start with the question at the top. Why does the control phase matter? This is a fundamental question in the DMAIC methodology. After all the hard work in the define, measure, analyze, and improve phases, why do we still need a control phase? Draw attention to the yellow highlighted text. Imagine this. You've worked hard to lose 10 kilograms. You're eating better, exercising, and seeing results. But 6 months later, you've gained it all back. Why? Because you didn't stick to the new habits. You didn't have a control mechanism in place to sustain the improvement. Point to the image of the slim and overweight man. This visual captures that perfectly. On the left is the person after successful weight loss, an improvement. But without control, they regress and end up heavier than before. This is exactly what happens in business processes too. Emphasize the bottom line. Improvement without sustainability is just a temporary success. This is the key takeaway. In Lean Six Sigma, control is what ensures that the gains from process improvements are not lost over time. Without it, we're just cycling back to old habits and inefficiencies. Wrap up with relevance to Six Sigma. In Six Sigma, the control phase helps standardize the new process, monitor performance, and apply corrective actions if needed. Whether it's implementing control charts, SOPs, or mistake-proofing, the goal is simple: make improvement last. Speaker notes for the slide. Key message: why control phase is crucial. This slide highlights the core message of the control phase in DMAIC. It's not just about completing improvements, it's about making sure they last. Focus on the two key bullet points. First, the improvements you've made. Control ensures that all the hard-earned gains from the improve phase don't fade away over time. Second, the problems you've solved. They don't just disappear for now, they stay solved. That's the real goal of sustainable process excellence. These 2 points are the essence of the control phase. We don't want to repeat the same firefighting again and again. We want permanent solutions. Emphasize the "it's the phase where" section. Now let's look at what actually happens in the control phase. Changes are embedded into normal operations. The improvements are no longer just pilot ideas or short-term fixes. They become a part of the daily routine. Standard operating procedures, revised workflows, or new policies. Monitoring systems are set up. We don't just assume everything will stay fixed. Control charts, dashboards, audits, whatever the process needs, we put systems in place to keep an eye on things and catch deviations early. Process ownership is transferred. The project team steps back. Now the people actually doing the work own the improved process. That ownership is key to long-term success. Conclude with the big idea. So, the control phase is about sustaining gains and enabling ownership. Without it, all the effort in the earlier phases could be wasted. Remember, in Lean Six Sigma, improvement without control is just a short-term fix. The purpose of control phase. Begin with the heading. Let's now understand the true purpose of the control phase in the DMAIC framework. While improvements are exciting, what matters most is making them stick. Walk through the bullet points. Sustain improvements. The first and foremost goal is to ensure that the gains achieved during the improve phase don't vanish over time. Prevent the process from slipping back. Without controls in place, it's easy for the process to revert to old habits. This is called process regression, and the control phase exists to prevent exactly that. Transfer control from project team, process owners. The project team can't babysit the improvements forever. The ownership must shift to the operational team, who will manage the process daily. Ensure new normal becomes habit, not exception. We don't want the improvements to be one-time or occasional. The goal is to institutionalize them, to make them part of the everyday routine. Explain the facilitator analogy. Here's an easy way to remember the role of control. A Lean Six Sigma project is like planting a garden. Define, measure, analyze, and improve is the planting phase. You prep the soil, sow the seeds, and help the plant grow. But what happens if you don't take care of it afterwards? That's where control comes in. It's the watering, weeding, and maintenance. Without control, even the best improvements, just like a garden, will wither and die. Wrap up. So as facilitators or project leads, your job isn't complete until the garden is thriving without you. That's the ultimate sign of a successful control phase, a sustainable, self-managed process. Optional engagement tip. Ask the audience to reflect. In your past projects, what part of the garden did you forget to water? This can spark valuable discussion on real-world sustainment challenges. Real-world example. Manufacturing. Let me share a real-world example from a manufacturing environment that illustrates the importance of the control phase. A factory successfully reduced the defect rate from 8% to just 1%. That's a huge improvement. Clearly, their Six Sigma project worked well during the improve phase, but here's the problem. 6 months later, the defect rate shot back up to 5%. Pose the central question. Why? What went wrong? The improve phase had delivered the results, but without proper control mechanisms in place, the process slowly fell apart again. Discuss the possible causes listed on the slide. No monitoring plan? Without ongoing measurement and alerts, the process may have regressed silently. A control chart or dashboard could have detected early signs of slippage. New operators didn't follow the new standard operating procedures, SOPs. Maybe the original team was trained, but as new employees joined, they weren't onboarded properly. This leads to inconsistent application of the improved process. Machines drifted from optimal settings without checks. Even if your process is initially optimized, machines can drift due to wear and tear, calibration issues, or environmental changes. If there's no regular inspection or control checklist, performance will degrade over time. Conclude with the key learning. This example proves a critical point. Improvement is not the end. Control is what protects and preserves it. In the absence of a solid control phase, even the best projects can unravel. This is why sustaining results is a discipline, not a one-time task. Optional audience prompt. Ask participants, have you seen this happen in your organization, where improvements faded over time? What was missing? This helps reinforce how essential the control phase is in practice. Lesson: without control, improvement fades. Speaker notes for the slide. Real-world example. Service. Begin with the scenario. Let's now look at a service industry example. A bank. They had a project that successfully reduced loan processing time from 20 days to just 7 days. That's a major breakthrough. Faster service, happier customers, and likely better business outcomes. But here's what happened next. 1 year later, the loan processing time bounced back up to 15 days. So, what went wrong? Ask the audience the central question. Why did this regression happen? Despite achieving impressive results, the lack of proper control mechanisms caused the process to slip again. Walk through the root causes listed. Staff reverted to old workflows. Without consistent reinforcement, training, or SOPs, people naturally fall back into old habits. This is especially true if the new process isn't built into daily operations. IT reports stopped being sent. Process monitoring often relies on IT-generated dashboards or reports. If reporting stops, you lose visibility, and by the time you notice, performance has already dropped. No accountability to track daily processing. Even a great process can fail if no one is assigned responsibility for maintaining performance. Daily metrics, ownership, and corrective action protocols were probably missing. Highlight the yellow box at the bottom. This leads us to a very important takeaway. The control phase creates guardrails to lock in improvements. These guardrails can be daily checklists, regular miss reporting, audit trails, or even performance dashboards. Without them, your process is vulnerable to drift. Conclude with the broader message. Just like in manufacturing, service processes also need robust control mechanisms to maintain gains. The better your control plan, the more future-proof your improvement is. Optional engagement question. Ask, how many of your past service improvement projects lost traction after a few months? What control elements were missing? This helps link the learning to personal experience. Speaker notes for the slide. What happens in control phase? Now that we've understood why the control phase is important, let's explore what actually happens during this phase. Introduce each bullet point with brief elaboration. Write new SOPs, standard operating procedures. One of the first activities is to document the new way of doing things. This ensures everyone has clear, consistent guidance to follow the improved process. Develop a control plan. This is a critical tool. It outlines what needs to be monitored, how often it should be reviewed, who is responsible for checking and responding. Without this, accountability and visibility can easily be lost. Set up control charts or dashboards. Depending on the process, we may use control charts for variation tracking, dashboards for daily, weekly KPIs, or alerts to catch deviations early. The goal is proactive detection, not reactive firefighting. Train process owners and frontline workers. Improvement only works if the people executing the process are equipped to carry it forward. So we invest time in hands-on training, Q&A, and practice to make sure it sticks. Close project, hand over to business. Finally, we formally close the Six Sigma project and transition the improved process to the business teams. From this point, they own the process and its results. Think of the control phase as the bridge. You move from project mode into operational mode. No more experimentation. It's time to stabilize, sustain, and let the business run the new process confidently. Wrap up with a reinforcement statement. So, what happens in the control phase? You lock in the gains. You build accountability. You equip the team. This is where improvement becomes reality, not just a report. Optional tip to the audience. Ask, which of these activities do you think is often skipped in real projects? Use the responses to highlight common gaps in sustaining improvement. Speaker notes for the slide. Risks without control phase. Start with the big idea. Let's talk about what happens when you skip or neglect the control phase in a Six Sigma project. While a project may show great results during improve, without a proper control strategy, those gains are at serious risk. Walk through each risk point on the right. Old habits creeping back. People naturally return to what's comfortable. If there are no formal controls in place, the process often regresses to the old way of working, undoing the progress made. People ignoring new ways. If the new process isn't embedded into standard procedures or supported by training and accountability, team members may ignore it altogether. Process variation returning. Without tools like control charts or dashboards, variation slowly creeps back in. Before long, defects, delays, or inefficiencies start to rise again. Data not monitored. One of the most common gaps is that performance metrics are not tracked post-implementation. This lack of visibility leads to blind spots. Issues go undetected until it's too late. Benefits lost over time. Ultimately, all the effort from define to improve becomes a wasted opportunity. The financial gains, efficiency improvements, or customer satisfaction enhancements gradually vanish. Refer to the image on the left. The image of a figure struggling to hold up the falling blocks labeled risk represents this idea visually. Without structure and stability, like the control phase offers, the entire improvement stack becomes unstable and collapses under its own weight. Conclude with a cautionary statement. So remember, skipping the control phase is not saving time. It's sacrificing sustainability. If you want results that last, control isn't optional. It's essential. Optional discussion. Prompt. Ask, have you experienced a situation where improvements fell apart over time? What caused it? Could better control have helped? This creates a powerful learning moment tied to real-life experiences. Let's shift the tone a bit, because this is a moment worth celebrating. Often, we think of the control phase as routine or administrative, but actually, it's a major milestone. It's where all the hard work pays off. Walk through the 3 key celebration points. The team delivers a sustainable, measurable improvement. After weeks or months of analysis, trials, and solutions, the team has successfully locked in an improvement that is repeatable and reliable. This isn't just a quick win, it's a long-term win. Sponsors see ROI fully realized. When improvements are sustained, financial and operational benefits stick. Sponsors now see real returns, whether it's cost savings, time reductions, or improved quality. Stakeholders feel confident the change will stick. At this point, the business isn't just hoping things stay better, it believes they will. Confidence in the change is what allows organizations to scale the improvement, replicate it, and build on it. Refer to the image on the left. The image with celebration symbols and a person reading signifies success backed by knowledge. It's about doing it right and knowing that what's been achieved is not just meaningful, but lasting. Conclude with inspiration. So yes, the control phase is technical, but it's also deeply human. It's about delivering real impact and being proud of it. This is your moment to close the loop, celebrate success, and inspire future change. Optional audience prompt. Ask, what's one project you've delivered where you truly felt like celebrating at the end? What made that success last? Let the room relive their wins. It brings control to life.